Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're discussing a very important topic, converting salamanders. For far too long, these slimy bastards haven't chosen a side. Today we convert them to Space Marines. Vulcan? What am I supposed to do with these 30,000 tiny crosses? Okay guys, I guess we're converting Salamander Space Marines. Cool. Okay guys, today we're converting Space Marine Salamanders. We're focusing mainly on that dragon scale Talbard, but if you want a painting video on Salamanders, just let me know in the comments and we can do one of those later. Okay, let's get started. First up, you're going to need a Space Marine. For this project, I'm using an Aggressor, but any Space Marine will do. Next up, you'll need cloaks from the black Ark Corsair kit. The kit can be seen right here and is about $30. I know it sounds expensive, but with this method you'll be able to make enough Talbards for the whole army. For this project, you're also going to need some green stuff. You're also going to need blue stuff, or Oyumaru. I'm sure I pronounced that terribly, but it's essentially a reusable casting plastic. You'll also need some model train chain. This is 1 by 1.5 millimeter and works perfect for our 28 millimeter scale models. Now these aren't completely necessary, but some bits to hang from the chain really add some character to the model. I'll show you guys which ones I use when we get to that stage. And lastly, you'll need some super glue. Okay, first we're going to start off by cutting up our blue stuff, or Oyumaru, into smaller bits. This is going to help it more evenly soften whenever we put it in the hot water in the next step. With any of the products I use in this video, I'll make sure to put a link down in the description so you guys can find them a little bit easier. Heat up some water till it's just about boiling and dump your Oyumaru or blue stuff in there. Go ahead and let it sit for about 2 to 3 minutes and let it soften up. As it's softening, go ahead and rotate it around. You'll notice it starts clumping together a little bit. That's perfectly normal. Just about 2 to 3 minutes and you'll be ready to go. Once that time has passed, go ahead and carefully remove this from the hot water. Keep in mind the water is very hot and your blue stuff is going to be very hot. Go ahead and use your fingers and flatten out into a small container. You'll then go ahead and grab that dragon scale cloak and press it evenly into the blue stuff. You'll then go ahead and grab something pokey and just push the mold up to the edges of the dragon scale cloak. Not over, but just up to it. Once the mold has completely cooled down, you can go ahead and pop out that dragon scale cloak. You'll now have a mold of the cloak that you can use over and over again. Next up, mix up some green stuff and fill in that mold. You want to apply a good amount of pressure, so it helps if your fingers are wet so the green stuff doesn't keep sticking to them. I like to keep the mold in the container I used, so when I add pressure it doesn't deform the mold. After letting the green stuff cure overnight, I go ahead and pop that out of the mold. You should have a near perfect copy of the cloak. If there's any extra green stuff on it, don't worry about it, we'll trim that off in the next step. Obviously, as is, the cloak is way too big for a Talbard, so we're going to go ahead and trim it down to size. Now I've done this a couple times, so I know how to place the cuts for this, but a good way to do it is kind of cover up certain areas with your thumbs and decide what you want the Talbard to look like. So I kind of want it to look like this shape. You'll go ahead and just make your cuts and keep putting it up against the model to see how it looks. In this case, it's still a little bit too long, so I'm going to trim it down a little bit more. You can also trim up the back and the sides to give it a little bit more of a taper, because your initial cuts are going to flatten them out. Next, you'll grab your trusty super glue and go ahead and glue it onto the model. Sometimes I like to use a pair of tweezers to press the ends of the talbard onto the model. Since the green stuff is pliable, this actually allows you to curve it around the waist of the model. Don't worry about getting that gap between the model and the talbard perfectly flush. The next step covers that up. Once the super glue for the talbard is dried, we're going to go ahead and cover up that gap with the chain. Go ahead and grab your super glue and something thin like a paper clip. Now what we're going to do is get a small dab of glue and drop it right in between those thigh plates that Primaris Marines have. You'll then go ahead and grab your chain and just dangle one end over the super glue. Once it contacts it, it'll stick. You can go ahead and drape this over the model and give it a few minutes to dry. Once that side is dried, go ahead and drape the chain over the gap, over to the next thigh plate, and go ahead and take your pliers and trim it to size. You'll then go ahead and repeat this process with the super glue, put a small dab under the thigh plate, and stick the end of the chain to it. You'll notice in nearly all my videos I use these thin tweezers. They're a lifesaver for working with small parts. I'll go ahead and link those in the description as well. Next step is complete optional, but here are some types of bits I like to add to the Salamanders chain. Adding your bits is pretty straightforward. You're just going to take your super glue and glue it to the chain and anything it touches for added stability. You can also actually use these little chain links and drill holes in the bits and actually hang them from the chain. I've done this on a few occasions, but it is very tedious. Okay guys, and that's how I convert salamanders. If you want to see how I paint them like this, go ahead and comment down below and I can make a video on that. Everything used in this video is in the description. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please like and subscribe. And as always, thank you for your time and take care.